Hello everyone, welcome to the Renaissance DAO AMA. We are honored to be joined by the team from Renaissance. So before we start off with any questions, perhaps you guys could give a brief introduction to Renaissance DAO and what are the plans for Renaissance DAO. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys all for coming here. We really appreciate the time. So what we're trying to do with Renaissance DAO is we're trying to bootstrap the treasury. We're trying to bootstrap the treasury with our own bonding mechanisms. Once we have enough treasury built up, we're trying to tax the treasury 20% to buy NFTs. And then once we acquire those NFTs, we're gonna fractionalize them. So investors can invest in NFTs they wouldn't been able to because it was too expensive, can buy the fractionalized NFTs from our platform. We'll trade the fractionalized NFTs with Frax LPs, and even if you don't hold art, which is our token, investors can invest in the fractionalized NFTs. And these fractionalized NFTs will have a POI boost and a utility within the protocol. So even if you don't like the NFT, you'll be able to buy the FNFT for the solely for the utilities within our protocol.
Yeah. So just to kind of reiterate on the roadmap, it's really the goal is to create a treasury-backed reserve currency that creates a fractionalized NFT market, and we can use our treasury to bootstrap that liquidity. And I guess everyone here is quite familiar with the own rebasing and bonding mechanism. And our native token is art, and it uses a very similar process. But the real end game is to move our token to back to create a protocol where we have fractionalized NFTs. And yeah.
All right, cool. It's actually, I would say, a pretty unique DAO to have NFTs as part of the treasury. So to kickstart this AMA, I will ask some questions over at my side first, and then after that we could proceed to the community round where we could handpick some questions in the text channel, or if anyone wants to request to speak up on the stage channel, we can answer their questions as well. So to start off, how long have you guys been working on this project?
On it for around 2 months now.
All right, so close to about 2 months, 2 months-ish.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Okay, so and you guys are on the Aurora network. Could I just ask why this blockchain in particular and not any other chains?
Yeah. So the Aurora network and foundation were the ones that came up with the idea of assisting us in bridging these NFTs over onto this chain. So, initially we're thinking about using Ethereum because really that's where all the blue chip NFT collections exist. But we worked with Aurora, and they promised that they will help us build this bridging mechanism. So it'll be free gas, at least in the initial period, and going forward, it just makes a lot of sense to be deploying on this chain with the right support.
Right. To add on to that, I've also noticed that the treasury is composed of stable coins such as Frax, liquidity pools. Could I just ask why not just make use of the Harmony network instead of getting Aurora on board to bridge these Frax tokens over?
So we were working with Frax originally and they're committed to helping us in the future to providing protocol-owned liquidity into fractional liquidity into this chain, and also to assist us in creating a future lending market for the R token and also the FNFT token going forward. So it's a valuable partnership for us, and we want more utility to go into these fractionalized tokens. So for us, it was more about the strategic long-term view. Yeah.
Because yeah, not many. I don't think there are a lot of DAOs out there that are currently using Frax, so this could probably be one of the unique ones about Renaissance. So, moving on to the next question, what will your marketing strategy is going to be like in the next 1 year or so?
So for the next year, we're trying to focus on community natural growth marketing. We've looked into paid marketing, but it doesn't sit right with us and it doesn't sit right with the spirit of crypto. We really want to advertise with word of mouth and increase natural growth within the community.
Yeah, and to kind of add on that, our partnerships definitely will be helping us in spreading that word of mouth. And in particular, the partnership that we're most keen to securing and working with will be the Olympus community.
So, speaking about partnerships, since you guys are gonna purchase different NFT collections and to put it in the treasury, are there any ongoing or upcoming collaborations or partnerships with any NFT collections out there?
So, I mean, initially we're going to be targeting very specific collections that we can kind of go through in detail later. But there definitely have been people that have reached out to us to see if we could bootstrap their project or create initial fractionalized pools for them. But for the time being, that won't be the focus. It'll be building up the treasury at first, and being able to purchase blue chip or NFTs that we see have value, have like high value.
So, could I just ask also, what sets you guys apart from other Fox or other similar projects that are doing the same as you guys? So, what is the unique point?
Yeah. So I guess for us, we use the own bonding mechanism and protocol own liquidity really to kind of kickstart this engine where we can purchase NFTs and continue fractionalizing. And the idea for us is the end game is to have many series of fractionalized NFTs, which our protocol also own liquidity for. And over time, the R token will eventually translate into almost an index of fractionalized NFT tokens. So, as we buy more and more collections, we'll have more and more beta towards the NFT market. But at the same time, we'll be increasing price discovery and liquidity in that same market. So
And
that's
also,
kind of
just if I could just butt in very, very quickly. Another key point is that we have pools for each individual collection, whereas many other protocols will just have a vault of just all their NFTs. So in that retrospect, I think we're pretty unique in that way.
Yep. So to add on to the NFTs part of the project, as you guys, I think most of you guys should know that the NFTs are quite in a bull run right now. Are there any marketing strategies to get people to be interested in your project, like those major or those hardcore NFT grinders and stuff like that?
I can speak on that.
Yeah.
Well, up to now, like kind of like the current history of the NFT market has been new project surface, people who want to ape in and get profit, they try to get whitelist, and sometimes maybe luck works out in their favor and they get good returns. But like the secure investments, well, like in quotation marks, secure, like relative to other everyday NFT projects. We know that secure projects have a negative correlation between price and risk. These are kind of like the notorious or the popular blue chip NFTs. And they already kind of have their own inherent hype, right? Even to those outside of the community or like even those outside the cryptocurrency space. Like you could show a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT to someone who's not really in crypto, and they probably have a high chance of recognizing that artwork. So what we're offering here isn't we're not here to kind of hype up the NFT itself. We're kind of here to hype up and allow access to investing in the NFTs that they will not have access to if they were just to buy them outright. For example, like someone who is not crypto native, they're not going to want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in buying one NFT, especially if they're not familiar with the volatility and the risk of the marketplace. In that sense, if we fractionalize, for example, not saying that we're going to do it, but if we do fractionalize a couple like 4-day yacht club NFTs, then now they can invest in the NFT um, with much lower capital than previously necessary, right? So in that sense, the hype is kind of already there with the NFT. It's not something that we have to add on to the hype. Maybe the fact that we're allowing these small investments to occur, we're excited about that, but we're not particularly driven towards hyping up projects, if that makes sense.
Yep, that totally makes sense. So, also to add on to that, based on the previous days or at least a few weeks, the crypto market is I would say is in a pretty bearish state as well. So, do you think that the current state of the cryptocurrency era will affect you guys or your launch in the future?
Yeah,
I think
So do you want to go?
yeah, sure. I think there's multiple. I think there's like a couple ways you can look at it. One is now we're after a phase where all these Olympus mechanism adopting or Olympus forks have experienced their own, I guess, slight mini bull run where the majority of them have garnered quite a bit of money in their own treasury, but they're not performing as well, right? So in that sense, that kind of gives us advantage if we're able to launch in the near future. If we are able to kind of take off in this phase of the market, I think that is a sign of confidence in our protocol. That's one way of looking at it. The other way could be we may want to delay the launch just to wait until the market trend works in our favor. I would say that's something that the team is currently in discussion about, but I don't necessarily think it would be a terribly negative thing to do. Uh, I think there's multiple ways of looking at it. That would just be what I want to say.
Yeah, I just think that, overall, just, timing the market for a launch. I'm not saying it's a complete cop out, but in the end, if we believe in, what we're building here, first off, we've been spending a lot of time and we haven't rushed the launch despite our Discord being like 34, 35,000. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like we wanted to put out a good product, a good DAO, and make sure that, our mechanics make a lot of sense to survive any climate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree that having the confidence to launch in this current market is a good sign for investors as well. So
Yeah, totally. I just think
Yeah.
like a lot of folks end up being just like, we want investors, that truly believe in the project, right? Like, we are doing own mechanics, but that definitely doesn't mean that, we're gonna go and inflate out of the wazoo. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where, we fully believe the terminal value of this DAO.
yeah, totally agree with that. So I will probably ask one last question from my side before we head over to the community round. So to add on to the confidence of launching in the current market, what kind of security measures that the team have taken to guarantee the safety of this project?
Yeah, so we're working with the Aurora team right now to because they're finalizing the multi-sig, Genosis multi-sig on the chain. So that's just one of the things that's also sort of held us back from launching earlier. The other thing that we're trying to ensure is getting a good partnership with Olympus so that one of their key members can be on multi-sig as well to make sure that funds will be secured.
That should be all from my side. Oracle, do you have anything else to add on?
Oh, no. Maybe if the team could expand of what their goals are for this first quarter of 2022.
DC, do you want to go ahead, or do you want me to jump on?
I'll go. So for the first quarter, we want to fractionalize as many fractionalized NFTs out there in the protocol, and we want to create a My page where our investors can see how much art they hold and how much fractionalized NFTs they can hold in their wallet. So we want to create a portfolio and mechanism where the users can see their overall investment in the protocol, as well as get good partnerships, have good marketing with the partners for the launch.
All right. If that's it, we can move to the community round.
Yeah, I'll probably get the first speaker up. He said Max3518 has requested to speak. So yeah, feel free to ask your question.
Yeah, hi, how is everyone? First question actually was about how are we going to evaluate the potentials of these NFT projects? Are we going to have specialists, or are you going to leave it for the DAO to decide?
Yeah, so we are engaging with a couple of specialists, and the projects we're targeting are around the 100 NFT collections with about 100 pieces. And really, we want the projects where there's not a lot of listings, so that the price is much more secured, and where initially when we do purchase these NFTs, we can quickly raise up the floor. So we do multiple series of purchases. We can quickly raise the value of our treasury. There's other assessment criteria that we will kind of leave to the experts in our community.
Additionally, also, that's just initially we're going to go with the specialists. I mean, come later, it will be a kind of a governance type voted. Obviously, it'll be relatively anonymous, as we don't want to release what we're buying before the DAO buys. But in the end, like the art NFT tokens will have some sort of governance of this DAO. But initially, just to echo what Dante said, yeah, we're consulting with a few specialists. We're making sure that the NFTs we target can appreciate in value and are held by people who really truly appreciate whatever they're holding.
Okay, that sounds good. But is the community gonna have an idea about the CV of the specialist? Like what kind of experience these specialists have?
Yeah, so the current two people we're engaging are full-time NFT traders. Yeah, I think that's a valid point. We should probably release that information close to the launch. But at this point in time, I think he would rather remain anonymous. But we will speak to him or her.
And also, yeah, it's just one of those things like, we'd rather keep the person anonymous unless if he necessarily wants to. But I mean, in the end, let's say the community doesn't actually like the FNFT pools we're launching, then they don't have to invest in it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why we want to protect his, and I'm gonna butcher this word, but his anonymity.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Am I allowed for another question?
Yeah, you can go for one last one.
Yeah, I read your articles when you started the Discord server, and it mentioned Near Protocol, and now I'm hearing Aurora. So have you guys switched, or am I understanding it in a wrong way?
I think we've always well, I don't know what exact phrasing you read, but Aurora is on top of Near, right? It just happens to be
Okay.
kind of like the EVM version.
EVM. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fault. I have not much information about Aurora, so my bad. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so let me invite the next speaker up. That is yeah, go ahead and ask the questions, Amo.
You are muted, come on, or at least I cannot hear you.
Hello, Amo.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
muted. Okay, he unmuted, but we still can't hear him. Alright, let's see. Maybe we can bring someone else meanwhile.
Yep. Good.
Alright, Lobter, you're up. Lobter Lightsmith?
Hello, hello. You guys here?
Yeah,
Yes.
the guys who who are asking to speak, maybe they have some technical difficulties.
Maybe I could read off his question from the text channel. I think he has posted a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah. All right, so he's asking, due to the recent negative opinion surrounding OMFOX in general right now, is there any steps that you are considering in discussing to boost confidence and ensure that the price doesn't follow the trend seen in previous Fox, which is a pump at the start and then a sharp and continuous price fall, in part due to token inflation?
Well, I think there's a few things we can do. First off, obviously these folks have definitely not done well in a bear market. So I think number one, you can change the APY to not be as high to begin with. So the inflation doesn't have to be as astronomical, right? Like, for us, we have belief in the product. We're backed by like true assets. It's not just, like a currency that's something that someone necessarily just had, right? Like we're actually buying into fractionalized NFTs. Number two, our fractionalized NFTs are fixed amounts. So the rebase doesn't happen on the fractionalized NFT. So when you own the fractionalized NFTs, you literally just own that. What is useful is that the fractionalized NFT provides an additional APY stake into the art token. So that's another utility that we are bringing specifically. But the one thing is, by working with hopefully partnering up with them, we can learn from their mistakes as well. But the biggest thing I want to stress is, our DAO, even though we are using, the like initially some sort of like own fork mechanic, but ultimately have more utility than something per se. Like we're creating a marketplace in which art becomes the intermediary. Like what's so cool is that, for instance, like aside from just owning like, an amazing piece of art in general, we can trade it across the other fractionalized NFTs to get the best APY boost. And that's what you want. And then we also have the people who just want to own the fractionalized NFT. So what's so cool is that, art essentially is at the terminal rate when we release more and more fractionalized collections. It really ends up being the currency of this fractionalized market.
Yeah. So he has one more question. So can you please elaborate regarding the tokenomics as in the first or opening medium, as it says that the token is called a Renine, and it is specifically mentioned that it is not a rebasing protocol or token. However, in the next few mediums, it doesn't mention the Renine token and instead focuses on the art token. So is that a rebasing token or protocol?
I'm not actually sure if my memory might be wrong, but Rina is just what we used to call art. I think what we meant in the Medium article is that our end goal is not to become a currency. I think that's probably the distinction that we wanted to make. From our launch, what we've been emphasizing is that to literally just consider the Olympus rebase / protocol, like these mechanisms that we're all used to by now. We're considering these just as bootstrapping mechanisms. We don't share the goal of the DAO's let's say like the goal of Olympus to become kind of like this blockchain wide currency, decentralized currency. Our goal is distinct from that, and just to kind of connect it back to the previous question of what makes us different slash giving us more confidence in our project is, I think a majority of the projects that come after Olympus, their narrative all have been to become the next currency, which is weird because Olympus has had a great head start. So I wasn't really sure why all these projects are choosing to direct their trajectory in a path that's already been traveled with very small likelihood of overtaking. So yeah, I mean, our target is much different, right? The rebasing mechanisms, they've been proven to be a great way of kind of like a innovative ICO in some sense, where we're able to garner eager community members at an earlier rate and allow them to secure a percentage of our DAO by sticking with us. And other than that, there's nothing more. We're not planning to become like some blockchain wide or near or Aurora wide currency. We're just building our own stuff, and that's what art is going to be used in.
Yeah, I completely agree that there are many folks out there that are trying to walk the path of Olympus that I've already walked. So there wouldn't be much of a unique selling point to their folks out there. So moving on, we could get the next speaker up, Rek. Yep, Rek, you could ask your question right now.
Yeah, so I guess, do you guys have any mechanisms in place to combat the bots at the launch? Or have you thought of any ways to combat it?
Pardon me, what was that? Combat?
Yeah, so you know how like at the start of the launch there's bots and all that sort of stuff that cause the price to ramp up high and then they sell off. Do you have any, I guess, mechanisms to prevent the issue of bots at the launch?
So our developer, Shakespeare, would be best to answer this, but he's on the AMA right now, but he is talking with some of the other people that have gotten, other founders that have gotten Aurora grants to see what they've done in the past. So we can give you an update on that. Let's have more information.
Cool, thanks.
So perhaps let me read out Kamo's question earlier, as he couldn't speak during when he was on the stage channel. So he's saying that they mentioned a more organic approach to marketing. Can they expand on that logic? And are there projects that they have seen it do it well? And with the market conditions aside, you would love to hear more about the rationale and some examples to it.
I think this is kind of a I can speak very briefly, and then I think Da Vinci was trying to hop in. But organic marketing is just a proof of concept of utility, right? It means that we're confident on the goods and services we are offering, that there will be word to mouth marketing naturally. In terms of good examples, I would say Ethereum. Not that we're competing with it, not that we're competing to be an L1 chain like Ethereum, but natural marketing is just people seeing and thinking that the services that they could use on top of our platform, in this case, it would be joining the DAO plus the trade and interaction with fractionalized NFTs, is worth their time and money. And hopefully they'll tell people they know that it's great.
So on to add on to that, the organic marketing is all about getting the investors who trust the protocol. We want the investors who believes in the protocol and wants to invest in it. We don't want investors who wants to make a quick flip and put in a few bucks and get a quick flip and get out of the protocol. So what we're trying to do is get the right investors into the protocol in the early stages, and we can be more aggressive by partnering with really big communities like Olympus, Frax, and bringing more people who understand the Olympus's bonding mechanisms and people from the art communities as well.
Just one last thing, just to quickly highlight. What's also really cool is that every single time we release a collection in fractionalized NFT, it's basically almost like an IDO. So in that is implicitly almost marketable, right? And we're targeting initially blue chip related NFTs. So I think that's also marketing in itself. And just to echo Da Vinci, we don't want to just shill investors in, then make 100% and then move on. We just want genuine people that really believe in NFTs to be all about the DAO.
Yeah, just one more on top of that, related to what Medici was saying is, I think we've designed something where the NFT collections themselves, well, depending on kind of who runs it, but I think we've designed something where if we choose to purchase and fractionalize a specific collection, members of the existing NFT collection community would be excited that this opportunity is now available for people who have not been able to purchase their NFT. And I think in itself, that is also a form of organic marketing.
I hope that answers to Kamo's question. We could probably get one last speaker up here for the questions, and then I will read some of the text channel. So Panda Cake, I given you. Yeah, okay.
Hey. So for your fractionalized NFTs, you're going for the blue chip ones like Bored Ape or CryptoPunks or whatever like that, right? So who's deciding it? Is it going to be like the DAO, or is it going to be like a group of like NFT type people?
Yeah, so initially we won't be going for the top blue chip NFTs such as CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, really because when the DAO does trade in those, we won't have as high of a market impact as say trading a smaller collection of 100. So initially, we have a list of NFTs that we want to target as we build up the runway and the initial treasury. But going forward, we do want to open it up to the DAO to vote on the next fractionalized NFT collections. So we actually are thinking about working with a couple of people on voting mechanisms where it will be completely anonymous. But there'll be more info on that later. Jesse, if you want to jump in.
No, you just made the point. Basically, eternally it is going to be a governance token, and everything will be DAO voted.
Can you give us like a hint of who or which NFTs you're thinking of going for?
I would say
just because we don't want to make a big price run or any of that stuff. Just for now, we would err to the side of caution at the moment. That being said, we can kind of give hints as we get much closer to fractionalizing a particular chip or two.
Yeah. I think if you take time to kind of fully digest the treasury mechanisms and strategy that we've designed, the type of NFT collections that we are eager to purchase and fractionalize would be hinted in it.
We also, for all that doesn't know, we released a strategy mechanism and article, I think late last night. So if you guys haven't checked, there is a chapter 4 in our Medium.
Yep. Panda Cake, that should be all right.
Yep, that's it. Oh,
All right.
yeah, I see. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for your questions. All right, so I'll read some questions off the text channel. Kev, I hope that that answers your question, because I think your questions is rather similar to what Panda Cake has asked. So there's one question on the floor. So what impact will Renaissance DAO have on expanding the NEAR protocol? And what will the APY be at launch? And what is one key aspect that differentiates? Okay, this one has been answered. So yeah, mainly what impact will Renaissance DAO have on expanding the NEAR protocol and the initial APY at launch?
So what we for the question, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring all the DeFi mechanisms to the NEAR protocol. Right now, NEAR doesn't have a lot of DeFi protocols at the moment. We're trying to create a lot of LPs with the fractionalized NFTs, and we're bringing a lot of stablecoin liquidity to the chain.
Right. To add on, I think he also asked, how will you be able to keep the APY percentages sustainable?
Yeah, so we're deciding still on the initial APY. We can take some lessons from what's happened in the past couple of weeks. Thinking through all that's happened, it doesn't seem like the most sustainable idea to launch with like a massive APY. So we'll be thinking about how we distribute the APYs to art holders, but also to the future FNFT pools as well. So it'll be a balancing act, but we'll have the support of hopefully Olympus and our advisors on that.
The best part is we can learn from people's mistakes, including the model of just astronomically high APYs is just clearly not sustainable. That being said, it still is something that we're thinking about. But we're going to have to model and think amongst ourselves as to like the demand that we create for our token as well, right? Like this is like very similar to like investing in a startup.
Yeah, I think now investors are looking at the sustainability of the APY percentages. So yeah, I think that will be a good issue to tackle. Arculum, do you want to continue on from here, or?
Oh no, I'm fine. If we don't have any questions, we can pick a few more before we wrap things up. If you want.
Yeah, sure. Perhaps are there any interesting questions from the floor that the team would like to pick out and answer them? It's not. So if not, there's actually I would say one or two questions regarding the token or NFT. So will there be any rewards for those contributing to Alexandria?
Oh, yeah. So Alexandria is it's not launched obviously, but it was kind of our imagined decentralized Wikipedia of NFT information. Well, depends on what you mean by like reward. Just making the entry and having it. Well, it depends on kind of like the market status of what Alexandria would be, right? Our goal was kind of to integrate the in some ways like DeFi functionalities with as well as using DeFi functionalities to introduce liquidity to a notoriously illiquid market that is NFTs, and the merge or kind of the coming together of those two sides allow us to compile some interesting information that we might want to track. And Alexandria was kind of where we were imagining to track that information. So, for example, I guess for example, like if a certain collection of FNFTs has an interesting price fluctuation in relative to art, this is kind of an important model for us to learn from because art is in itself a dynamic token. That FNFT, although the ratio between the number of NFT fractionalized to the number of FNFT minted will stay fixed, but if we do mint new NFT from that same collection, that FNFT supply will change. And how does that affect the returns? Because the FNFTs are designed in a way that they have a dynamic effect on the APY of art, which is our rebase token. And on top of that, I guess Alexandria in itself, you can just think of it as Wikipedia. Is there really reward for you contributing to Wikipedia? I'm not so sure, but
the short answer is yes, there probably will be. From the DAO.
All right. I think there's one question with regards to that. So what are the plans for Florence, and what will the fees be like? And also, do you intend to open Florence to all chains one day?
Oh wait, sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So there's another question. What are the plans for Florence?
Yeah.
What will the fees be like? And also, do you intend to open Florence to all chains in the near future?
Yeah. I mean, ideally, that would be a long-term goal, right? So for those not updated on what Florence is kind of what we're imagining to be a decentralized NFT marketplace. Except in this case, it would begin with fractionalized NFTs and maybe one day incorporate standalone NFTs as well. I mean, obviously, we would like to exist in multiple chains, and then because that would expose us to a greater number of transactions, which is greater profit for the DAO, which is greater profit for individual art token holders. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
What's
What
the
will
fee?
the fees, correct? The fees and if you intend to open it to all chains one day.
Yeah, I think the fees part is probably too far ahead. But I mean, initially, like we are just going to be working with new artists to be able to fractionalize some of their collections from the get-go. We haven't really thought about the fees yet. It's still really much a big audacious idea. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So there's one more question on the floor. So someone asked, will this be similar to Paragon DAO for parallel cuts?
I'm not familiar with Paragon DAO. Is anyone?
Me neither. Can you explain to us what Paragon DAO is doing too?
Maybe crypto. So I think he's saying that Paragon DAO is just launched with a similar idea. Crypto Couple, do you want to get up on stage to ask this question?
Great name.
I think he's
typing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could just give us like a short summary of what Paragon DAO is doing, maybe we can try to differentiate ourselves.
Maybe perhaps while he's typing, we could move on to the next question first.
Sure.
So, one question is, what do you guys think is the main problem nowadays with NFTs, and what are your solutions to them?
Like NFTs as a whole.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess we're really just targeting one specific area that we think is a problem in the NFT space. That is, not very transparent price discovery. The way that we view the price of collection is based off an offer that is a floor, but nothing's actually getting transacted at the price. So by creating these fractionalized NFT pools that have some utility, we can actually then start to see real transactions going through to give us greater price discovery. That's the kind of area that we're specifically targeting as a problem space. There are definitely other problems as well, like the longevity of certain collections and the hype and rugs, but that's all what we're trying to target with this DAO.
Yeah. I would also
So just
add on
transactions. We basically have the market cap is essentially live intraday data, which I think is super amazing about this.
Yeah. I would also add on one thing which was kind of touched upon earlier on in this AMA session, but is normal people are not normal people don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy stuff that they see that make headlines. And it is the unfortunate truth of the NFT market. Well, as is in multiple other investment, is the indirect relationship between risk and price, right? Price is in effect sometimes a premium for investment safety, and that is also something we're seeing in the NFT markets as well, like in the form of blue chip NFTs. So if we're gonna have more people adopt crypto and adopt NFTs, then there's gonna have to be avenues where people with average pocket sizes are able to join our space. And for those people, what they're looking for is a safer investment. And the safer investment happens to be the more expensive ones right now. So I think that's an issue that we're able to solve.
And to add on to that, we have two main points. So if you wanted to sell your NFTs right away, you wouldn't be able to sell your NFT unless you sold it at like 50% discount of the floor price. But by having FNFT LP pools, you can automatically transact your FNFTs to sell or buy at any time. And the second one is the NFTs itself. Some do, but it doesn't hold a whole lot of utilities. So once you start holding FNFTs, you can lend it out to other people within the protocol and giving the utilities to the NFTs. While as if you just hold the NFT as a whole itself, it's very illiquid and you can't do much with it.
Yeah. Okay. So completely agree with that also. So there's another question on the floor that says, do you see bonding as a short-term aspect to bootstrap the treasury or a long-term thing, or as some newer protocols have an ending date to bonding to reduce dilution?
Yeah, I definitely think our team is aligned with that mentality. I mean, even before the whole DAO fiasco has occurred, many have been calling out the well, back then no one knew for sure, but there were some caution about the sustainability of these rebase designs. And today, we can kind of confirm that yeah, these were not sustainable. So yeah, definitely, we're just viewing this early initial phase as a bootstrap of the treasury kind of time. In the future, I'm sure we'll have to make some changes to ensure the sustainability of our own protocol.
Yep. Okay, so yeah. Sorry, okay. I saw so there's a question. I'll probably pick out the last one from the text channel. So someone asked if the team can explain. I think he meant explain more on the governance process in Renaissance DAO, and also what the art token holders will vote on in the future.
Well, we have laid out some multiple potential milestones that we envision. Florence being the decentralized marketplace, Alexandria, that's kind of like a community-driven NFT Wikipedia. We're also looking into, I don't know if this was answered in the chat, but we're also looking into adding more utility to FNFTs, where we're working with certain protocols to design some way FNFTs could be collateralized for lending, and then for those lended stablecoins to participate in already existing money markets. Let me think. Yeah, I think Dante, do you have anything to
Also
add?
briefly, I'll just add something really quickly. You can one thing we're also considering is the DAO could target a specific NFT, and then it could vote on where we would want to take profit, and all those holders would make basically the spread from purchase price to where the NFT ultimately cleared. So there is extra liquidity.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really going to be decisions around treasury and future policy decisions. But also, just like to point out, the way that we distribute art tokens is not just to art holders, but also to holders of both FNFTs and art. So basically, the people that participate in these liquidity pools by transacting in FNFTs will also be the ones governing this protocol in the future.
Yep. So I think that's it from my side. Oracle, do you want to pick up probably like the final question before we wrap up this session?
Oh no, I don't really have. I don't see any questions after that one. If you wanna wrap things up, it's okay.
All right, sure. So I guess we could just wrap up the AMA session. So thank you guys for dropping by today, making time for the AMA today, as well as
Yeah.
the team.
I would say, just on a final note, we're happy to have answered your questions today, as well as excited that maybe for some of you who had curiosities, we were able to answer some of them. Looking forward, please be on the lookout for what we're achieving in this space. We're in talks with multiple other organizations and protocols, so it's hopefully we're able to confirm some of them in the very next few days. And I think we'll be growing. And I think we're bringing something that really has utility. So yeah, stick around and let's try to make something.
Yeah, I think there's a majority of the people that are looking forward to the launch of the protocol. So yeah, we are excited for that. And if any of you guys are late to the AMA, the recording will be uploaded as soon as possible. So yes, if so, there's nothing else from my side. Anything else you guys want to close it off with from the team?
Can we have a general voice chat where we can answer more questions after the AMA?
Oracle, you wanna?
Yeah, sure. We can create one here.
Thank you.
Okay, I just opened the chat. It's not a state channel, so anyone can talk.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, we'll be also be messaging on the AMA thread, and check out our Medium to kind of go through the mechanics of FNFTs, and if there's any questions, we're more than happy to answer. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thank you so much for taking your time today. Thank you. For those who have any other questions, you guys could head over to the voice channel on top, and the team would gladly answer your questions there. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you, Vakant.
Thank you, guys.